Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm your host Kat Siggers. This is of course Spotlight with Kat Siggers. Before we dive into our guest today, I actually wanted to just catch you up on a bit about what I've been up to. So most recently I did a webinar on confidence. It was called Unshakable, Build Confidence to Get More Jobs as a Voice Actor. And that was really cool because I was able to kind of share things that I have learned along my journey because it's not been plain sailing the entire way. I mean, I get way more jobs now that I've got more confidence within myself, but also within my abilities. So that was really cool. There were about 50 or so voice actors on the webinar, and it was just a really great session, just kind of getting into self-confidence, situational confidence. I spoke about the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins, which honestly has actually changed my life. I've listened to that book about 3 or 4 times now on Audible. I recommend it highly. Stepping into the spotlight today is someone called Caitlin Carver. Now, you may know her from I, Tonya, where she rose to fame. She starred alongside Margot Robbie. Caitlin's an actor and dancer, originally from Alabama, who moved to LA as a young adult to pursue her dreams. She has since starred in Chicago Fire, Dear White People, and Paper Towns. Her latest film, Call of the Void, due to be released on 15th of April, is a horror story which is set to intrigue audiences and make them think twice before going to a cabin in the woods. Now, if you know me, you know that I am a bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to kind of horror or psychological thrillers or anything like that. Like, I generally have to watch them during the middle of the day with someone else in the house, and I can't sleep with the lights off. I have to keep them on when I go to bed in the evening. But honestly, like, this film, it was scary, but more than anything, it just had me on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. I was so intrigued. It has so many twists and turns. I mean, of course, it's definitely a must-watch for those scary movie fans out there. So without further ado, this is Caitlin Carver. So Caitlin, Call of the Void has been described as a folk horror tale with a twist of Appalachian folk music being performed by the cast, who in the film are a band. Your character Maury has a moment of listening in on this music and admiring it. What do you think the significance of her listening to that music is?
Oh, great question. I feel like, well, first of all, this movie, what I found so cool. Wait, I'm so sorry. I just realized my cat's water fountain is making noise, so just give me 1 second.
That's absolutely fine.
Sorry. It's so loud. Okay. Don't worry, I'm back. Sorry.
Your cat has a water fountain. Sorry.
Yes, it's automatic, and I'm realizing that maybe it's a little bit low, so I can just hear it like pouring out.
Oh my gosh.
My cat has
so
an automatic water fountain, feeder, and litter box. He is my child.
Yes, I so feel you. Right, whenever you're ready.
Anyway, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, originally what connected me to this movie, I felt like it was so unique because it deals with sound and how that can kind of affect us versus, like, especially for a horror thriller versus like a human there, or I don't know, all the physicalities of things. I loved that it was like an internal noise that people were hearing. So I think the sound that the band plays, for one, reminds her of her brother and his love for music, which is why she's up in this cabin in the woods. She's trying to heal from the death of him and find herself and move on from that. So it reminds her of him, but also it's kind of like a foreshadowing of what's to come in the movie, involving the sound and kind of how that takes over and does some crazy things.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, a lot of crazy things. I suppose, how was that then as an actor, kind of dealing, with a character who was dealing with a tragic death of her brother, but then also dealing with this like unknown being? Like, how was that?
I mean, it was challenging. There was a lot of things that James, the director, and I talked about beforehand, of just like, for me, Caitlin, as an actor, like what I might hear in that moment. Because obviously it's something each character experiences internally on their own. And we kind of played around with just like, I mean, you'll see throughout the movie, like I listened to voicemails of my brother and listened to songs that he would play. And just, I think, yeah, I think it just, always having my brother and his noise and voice in the back of my head was kind of what got me through all of those like moments throughout the end of the movie.
That's beautiful. Do you think that your character then was hearing his voice or something to do with him then when you were hearing the void, as it were?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's at least what I used as an actor, and what James and I really talked through in the beginning was just trying to find something to get me there and to get into that emotional state. And that was something we chose to do together, whether we hear it in the movie or not. That was the choice that I made as an actor, which helped a lot to get me there.
Well, I love that. I mean, you've got to do what you've got to do to get yourself to that place, haven't you? So I think the character of Daryl, he was played by Ethan Harris. I absolutely fell in love with him. He is so sweet, so innocent. Like his demeanor is so, I don't know, sweet and cute. You and his character have an instant connection. And at one point in the film, you actually stand up for him against Lucy, played by Mina Sundwall. For your character, what did Daryl represent to you?
Oh, well, this was really cool because Ethan, while we were filming, he's much younger than me, but he was actually in college. So like between scenes and when he had downtime, he was like truly finishing up his college experience and taking exams and doing all these cool things. So I always kind of felt like I had just a bit of protection around him, like us as individuals and people. He just kind of like felt like a little brother, and he's I mean, just like Daryl, he's just one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet, and so talented. So I think, being able to use like what Ethan and I had on set, and we shot up in Big Bear, like what we had up in Big Bear and like our relationship that we created together really, really helped us in the movie. And it just felt like supernatural to be there for him and stand up for him. And
well, it definitely showed. I mean, you guys had such great chemistry. You could tell that you genuinely cared about each other, which is lovely that came through on screen and was a true representation of your relationship in real life as well, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's just like, I mean, I know I just said he's super talented and just an amazing person, but he's also having so much success right now. And I'm so thrilled for him. He's just like truly one of the best. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I want to talk to you now about the name of the movie, Call of the Void. So for our listeners out there who don't know, Call of the Void, or L'Appel du Vide in French, where the term was first coined, it's now more commonly known as intrusive thoughts, but it's basically the urge to do something dangerous, even though you don't intend to actually do it. Like it could be like jumping from a high place, like swerving onto oncoming traffic, or like hurting yourself or someone else. How do you think then that term translated in the film, and more specifically for your character?
Wow, that is such a great question and so smart, because I didn't even think of a lot of those things. So props to you. That's amazing. This is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think there's like multiple definitions probably to Call of the Void that James, our writer director, really played with. I think just transporting us to a different place. Like I've mentioned before, like I loved all of the reason I just was so attracted to this movie was because the sound was the horror, which I feel like we don't see a lot, and it just leaves for a lot of like thought-provoking moments of like what these people are actually going through and what this noise has actually done to them and how it's affected them. And I don't know. I mean, I think there's so many different meanings for Call of the Void, and I think James tried to play around with all of them. And I don't know if that answered your question at all. I don't think it did, but it was a beautiful question.
No, it absolutely did, because I think what I'm getting from that is the fact that the sound is the intrusive thought in a way. You know, like you can't stop it. You couldn't stop that sound once you heard it, right? If I'm not wrong.
Correct. You can't stop it after you hear it. And also like I had mentioned before, where James and I had like talked before we started shooting about maybe what I heard or what my character heard. But I think that's what's so cool about it, and what can make the audience kind of like talk about things after, or just leave like thought-provoking ideas, is just that we don't actually know entirely what they hear, what each person hears and how it kind of takes over them. But you do see that, yeah, I guess that kind of is the void in itself, is this sound that we hear and takes over us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so ominous, because I imagined at some point in the film we were going to hear it. I really did. And I don't think I did hear it at all. Not really.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's like the beauty of making movies, is to kind of have the audience be like, wait, what did that mean? And kind of like be able to create these own thoughts and moments on their own and individually.
Absolutely. I mean, I came away from it so intrigued, thinking like, I need to find out what the meaning of that is. How do I know what, like, but I love it when a film does that, because if a film can make me think, like, isn't that the reason we make movies, is to provoke thought in other people, right?
Exactly. That's like honestly why I sign on to do movies, is like if I read a script and I have any kind of thought after that makes me just think about the story or the characters or anything like that. Like that's truly why I choose to do movies. So yeah, I think that's what art is, right? That's why we do this, because it's fun to discuss after and try to put the pieces together. And oh, my cat just jumped up. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Is it a he or a she?
It's a he. His name's Dennis, and he's really cute, but
Dennis.
He's very interested in my computer right now, but hopefully.
No, I love that. Like,
there.
Bring him on if he wants to come on. We'll have Dennis.
He'll probably just walk in the background at some point.
He'll be the special guest for this episode.
Amazing.
It's all
Love
good.
It.
I want to chat to you now a little bit about your career, and I kind of want to take you back to like the beginning. Now, correct me if I'm completely wrong on any of this, but you convinced your parents to let you go to LA, right?
Yeah.
And you started your career as a dancer, then went into acting, and your first job was at Disney, right?
Okay, well, technically, I think my first TV show I did as a dancer was on Disney, and it was a show called So Random. I think that's what it was called. Yeah. And
I thought you were saying It's So Random.
Oh no, the show was called So
That's
Random!
The name
Exclamation mark. Yeah.
Got you.
So I think that was like technically my first TV job, but I did do like some live performances, like award shows. I danced with artists. I maybe did a commercial before then, but when so I spent the summer in LA after I graduated high school, and it was just kind of like my senior trip where my parents were going to let me, spend the whole summer just out here training and making connections. I had already signed with like an agency out here, but I always thought I was going to go back to Alabama, where I'm from, and go to college. But I was here for the summer, and I did book a job at Disney, the park, Disneyland out here. I was going to I believe they had like an Aladdin show that I was going to dance in, but I obviously wasn't planning on staying out here, so I didn't take the job. And Anaheim was so far from LA that my parents were like, no, we're not going to do that. But I think that kind of was a convincing moment for them, because they were like, oh, she's, it was my first month in LA. I'm just visiting, and I'm already kind of booking jobs as a dancer. So I think that was like kind of what helped them, or kind of what helped me convince them, is like, I think I can do this.
That's so cool. Yeah. That is honestly so great that you were like, I can get a job. It's fine.
Yeah. I was like, I won't take the job because of the circumstances, but like I got the job. But I do think my first TV show was So Random, the Disney show. So maybe I guess both my first jobs were Disney.
Wow. That's a pretty cool way to start your career off. What made you kind of transition then from dancer to actor? Did you always do it like alongside it, or what?
Yeah, it was always a thing that I did. As soon as I moved to LA, I went straight into acting classes, just because I realized as a dancer doing TV shows or commercials, like they would have us in the background and would need us to react to things. And I was kind of always just expressive through my movement. So I signed up for acting classes just so I could be able to be present in like a vocal and way that wasn't just dancing whenever I was filming things. So I did that and I just kind of fell in love with it. And I started filming a TV show as a dancer called Hit the Floor that I was on for like a year and a half. And just watching them, like the whole production, shoot this TV show and being around all the actors on that show, I was like, I think I might want to do this. So I basically just gave it a shot. I was like, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, it's all good. I can always do something else in my life. But I fully fell in love with it and ended up doing a TV show called The Fosters, where they needed someone who knew how to dance. So it was kind of just like the universe looking out for me, being like, this is where you're meant to be. So yeah, it was just like it was a really smooth transition, luckily. But yeah, I guess it was just like acting just felt like another form of expression that dance didn't give me. So I was always kind of intrigued by it, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, dance and acting very similar in that they're creative expressions.
Definitely.
I suppose just with acting, it's more vocalized than dance, really.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a favorite type of dance that you kind of went into?
I always loved ballet and contemporary. Those were like my two favorites, but I did everything. I started ballet when I was 2, and then I started jazz and tap when I was 5. And then I think around like 8, I went into like hip hop contemporary. And then maybe 13, I started point. So I literally did every style, but ballet and contemporary were my favorite. I think they're also, in my opinion, the most emotional, and you can kind of express your emotions. At least for me, it was like the form that I felt was the most expressive. And maybe that's why I became an actor. But
do you think like dance helps you express more as an actor? Do you think you've kind of taken that into your career as an actor?
I definitely have. It's taken me a lot of like work, because I think when I first started acting, I was always like, as a dancer, you finish your routine or whatever you're doing, you look at the teacher and go, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? How do I fix it? And I kind of was bringing that in with me when I first started acting, which was not healthy, because I was like looking for validation from directors or producers or writers or whoever to just tell me that I was doing the right thing, or if I needed to fix anything, versus just making my own choices. But over time, I've been able to fix that and really work on that. And now I think dance has definitely helped me a lot, especially like with the physicality of acting. I like to bring physicality to all my characters, and I feel like that's helped a lot. And yeah, I think it definitely had its like pros and cons in the beginning, but now I think it's all just like dance was just such a positive thing in my life, and has really helped me be able to express myself in like multiple ways.
It's interesting what you said then about like you were always looking for someone for validation, because dance is obviously you've got the set moves really, whereas acting there's not. It's very much whoever is watching it has a different idea of it and a different idea of what they like, and that's really interesting to try and make that transition. And I'm so glad you're able to kind of use dance for good in your acting now, because I think as well as an actor you do use your physicality a lot, you know, and I think it's such a bonus to be able to understand how your body works, and if I move it just this way, that will give me a whole different type of expression as well. Like, what do you think you used in Call of the Void then? Like, what was your main
I think honestly, going through the journey that Murray goes through the whole time, like starting off, going up to this family cabin, just being in this environment where her brother was, kind of real, like knowing that she's going up there to find herself and to heal and just spend this time alone and kind of like re-put together her life. I think having that physicality of just feeling a bit lost and confused, and the way maybe your shoulders would sit in a scene, or like, you know, she's an artist as well, so like even the way she like sits and paints when she's feeling different things, it was just like finding those ways I could like sit or walk differently. And then you see like towards the end with Daryl, especially like when she is really taking ownership of herself and trying to help these people around her, her shoulders are more back, she's more confident, there's like ways you can walk and present yourself. So it's always for me like finding kind of like ways that my characters can sit or walk, because I feel like that like changes so much about what a character is experiencing. So I think that was like, if you watch the movie, like you can kind of see the journey of just how she changes throughout, which is also a challenge when you're filming because you shoot out of order. So it's like you have to really remember like where you're coming from and where you're going, and where your character's at in that moment. So yeah, I think for Maria it was mostly just like the physicality of her like sitting and walking, and how those change throughout the movie.
It's a great base point to work off of. I really like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I also like, for me, every time I get a new job, I think about the physicality, like the walk and the sitting, and then I always like will do like an album on my phone I can listen to, and then I'll always have a new perfume, because I just have something with all my different like senses where I need to like hear, feel, and smell different things. So that way, like, I don't know, it just takes me to that new experience. I try to like pick out a perfume that the character would like, and then I won't really use it again. So then when I have like a sense memory thing. So whenever I smell that perfume again, I'll like come back and be like, oh, that's when I was in Big Bear shooting this movie, or that's when I was here doing this. And I don't know. Those are just like weird sense things that I have. Yeah.
I love that. That's so unique. I've never heard anyone say they do that before.
Oh,
that is a really cool trick to use.
I feel like a lot of actors will do like the music thing, but I've been telling people, I'm like, if you can do like the scent thing, because first of all, you get to go pick out a perfume as this character, which already gets you into the character's body and mind and soul. And I think that's really fun. But then afterwards, you just have this like unique memory of like, when you smell that smell, it can kind of transport you back to that moment in time. And I find that really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Because, you know, you do literally have to transform into someone else, not only physically, mentally, but I get it. It's the sense thing too. I love that. That is such a golden nugget. I love that.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Of course.
So this may sound a little creepy, but I did my research. You at one point said that you would love to go to Greece and reenact Mamma Mia with your mum. Now, you're an actor and you're a dancer. Do you sing? Would you ever go into musical theatre? Would you maybe come over here to the West End and do a little Mamma Mia musical?
Oh my gosh, if I could sing, I would. Like, I truly think that was part of why I got into acting, because my mom would take me to see Broadway shows when I was younger, and in middle school and high school, we would take little trips to New York. But unfortunately, I cannot sing. That was really funny about this movie. I won't say what happens at the end of it, but we had to sing, and I can't even carry a tune. It was literally the most stressed I've ever been in my life. But all the other actors in the movie were like super musical and just had beautiful voices. But yeah, no, I wish maybe I could have someone dub over my voice, but then I feel like it's not as like powerful if I'm not the one actually singing it, you know?
So, I mean, you know, I totally get that. But would you?
I don't know where you found that. Oh,
I found it on Runway Live.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. That must have been like 12 years ago, 10 years ago. But I still feel the same way. I love Mamma Mia. And my mom and I and my childhood best friend and her mom, that's like what we would do, is just listen to Mamma Mia and run around and dance and sing. And it was just like my little like childhood. Yeah.
Have you been to Greece since you said that?
No, I haven't. Last year I went to Italy. And then the year before that, I went to Paris and Japan. So I've been traveling, but I haven't made it to Greece, which is a bummer.
You will. You'll have to go one time. Definitely. Just maybe don't sing, because you might scare the locals.
I probably would. I probably would.
Oh my goodness. So you starred, I think one of your most famous films that a lot of people know is I, Tonya. That was alongside, obviously, Margot Robbie, the wonderful Margot Robbie. You played Nancy Kerrigan. And I feel like it must have been an extremely interesting role to play, because not only is she a real life person who's still alive, but there was also such controversy over what happened between her and Tonya Harding. Now, that was 23 years before the movie was released, which I personally think is a huge amount of time. Like, it's long enough, but you know, they're both still alive. How did you kind of prepare for that role, considering those circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I never got to meet Nancy Kerrigan, but I researched every moment of her life. I truly read every article. I watched every interview. I watched every time she skated. I just dove in so deep into her life, which I feel like helped. And also in the script, I mean, it was so beautifully written that the moments that they had in there gave me a lot of information. But I'm not gonna lie that it was definitely scary. I've never played up until that point. I had never played a real life person. Actually, I don't think I've played another one since then. But it is definitely scary because you want to do these people justice, and Nancy Kerrigan is such a beautiful woman, and had a beautiful life and career, still does. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was doing her service. But yeah, I basically just relied on the internet and YouTube and just any kind of footage of her that I could find, since I wasn't able to meet her. But truly one of my favorite movies ever. I think it's such a great movie. Margot Robbie's so good in there. Allison Janney's amazing. Sorry if you just heard that. That was my email. But yeah, it was such a cool experience. It really was.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it was like still one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Oh, it's such a fantastic movie. I watch it time and time again. It's brilliant.
Amazing.
Did you ever try to meet up with her?
No, I didn't. Yeah, we just weren't in contact with her, but I got to meet Tonya Harding, which was really cool. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, she came to our premiere, so I briefly got to meet her and talk to her. But yeah, that was the only person I was able to connect with at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, such a fun experience. Also, just learning how to skate. I didn't skate much in the movie, but getting to like
Did you actually
train.
learn how to skate for it then?
Yeah, so when I was first auditioning, I had told them that I was a dancer, so I thought that I could probably pick up. I've always been like really athletic too, so I thought I could probably pick up figure skating easily. It's so much harder. I thought it was going to be like a breeze for me. No, it was so hard. I think I trained for like maybe a month just to skate off the ice. Like literally the only time I skate in the movie is when I skate off the ice. That was it.
Oh,
Yeah, but I have so much respect for figure skaters. I wonder, like, I always thought like maybe it would be easy for me because I'm a dancer, but I realized a lot of dance is like turned out, like my hips are turned out, and I think figure skating is more parallel when you're skating. I don't know, I could be
oh,
wrong about these facts, but that was my struggle, was my hips are like naturally turned out because of ballet and dance, and trying to get on ice skates and keep them parallel so the blades wouldn't like turn over was really hard for me. But
yeah.
yeah.
Because if you went that way, you'd basically be doing the splits on
Yeah, I would be
ice.
doing the split.
And I can't imagine
Which
that would be fun.
exactly. I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, I've only ever been ice skating about twice in my life, and it is terrifying.
That's so
There's
scary.
something about it just being a slab of ice beneath you
Yeah.
that is
But you know what? Like
just,
when you watch figure skaters actually skating, when they fall, it's so smooth. Like it feels like it doesn't even hurt them. I feel like there must be like a proper way to fall that doesn't really like hurt them too bad. But for me, I was like, I fell on the ice once and I was like, I don't want to do this again. It hurts.
it's like, please never let me experience
Yeah.
that again. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Oh my gosh. And so for our final question, Caitlin, if
Mhm.
you were to summarize Call of the Void in one sentence, what would you say?
Ooh, I would say, without giving too much away, it is about a girl who goes to her family's cabin in the woods, trying to find herself, but ends up meeting a group of college kids who take her through a journey. Was that all one sentence?
There we go. I'm going to say there may have been a comma in there, but I'm going to
There was
take it as
definitely
a
a,
sentence.
okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thank you for joining us today, Caitlin. It has been wonderful chatting with you. Call of the Void is due to be released on digital platforms on 15th of April 2025. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Kat.